whoever we are, wherever we're from, if we choose to do something, commit a crime, we have to pay the consequences, and that can affect family members, and that should be part of this debate.
And then you go to prison.
Yes, I think so, in some cases.
Should you be punished twice?
Not necessarily. It depends what you've done. But I think we should look at the fact that, personal responsibility should be high up in this debate.
Taylor, former Brexit Party candidate, tweeting, part of the debate on funding and price of a Godiva should be about what we as a city are bringing to those who visit the festival. It is still a low admission charge for what is a rich mix of new talent, some local, community music and drama groups, solo artists and big names, said Mark.
I went into this corridor and it's a lovely red carpet and I got some crisps in my hand and I dropped some crisps on the floor accidentally. And this guy came up with a gun. Monsieur? No. And he sort of pointed the gun at me. And I suddenly realised, I looked to my left and there's all the sort of people in the black limos, and it turns out the Hungarian president was just about to go down the same corridor. So sadly I caused a slight international incident.
Mark, what about you? You're looking lively?
Well, yes, I am looking lively. It's just the thrill of being on this programme. I'm a Brexiteer. I'm going to be celebrating on January the 31st at a private party. Would I pay? No, I wouldn't. But speaking as someone who's been over to the European Union and seen some of the festivals and some of the celebrations they've had, and the wastage of money, public money used on such festivals, then I say something wacky, charge the EU for getting this Big Ben sorted out, because they're going to charge us 39 billion for saying goodbye. We charge them. Let's have a celebration and wave goodbye.
A march of solidarity. Hundreds of campaigners came together in Kenilworth to oppose HS2 plans to start felling trees next month at this ancient woodland.
I'm just so fed up after all these years of campaigning, speaking as someone who lives locally, to see the destruction. I just can't get used to seeing this city so quiet. I think if you're local, you can work out where I am standing in Coventry. Look at this. No one.
I'm not seeing close family members for a month. Looking forward to saying bye-bye to lockdown. Recently did a short stint between employment contracts as an essential worker whilst working in that particular job. Met a lady who had lost her husband to COVID. Devastated. I just hope that as some celebrate in their local pub or bar, we remember also those who were lost to COVID, says Mark.
Talking about Extinction Rebellion, for example, a local issue to us is, a national issue, but it's also a local issue, is HS2. I'm against it, always have been, and I've taken part in local activism supporting or working with organisations like Stop HS2. And it's interesting and perhaps good, actually, that the Extinction Rebellion is now becoming engaged in that.
Right.
But having talked to some local activists who've come along to support just a simple, walk through the woods to say, we must stop HS2. One chap said to me, well, I really want to do more than this, just walking up and down, I want to destroy. And I thought, no, mate, that's not what I want to do.
That's the problem for those kinds of groups, because once they are revealed to be what they actually are, the mainstream support that they have from people who might quite like the idea of a cleaner planet and a more green kind of, environment and all of that, they suddenly get turned off.
Let's say, for the sake of argument, it may be that in November, when we get I think it's November, when we get Rishi Sunak's bigger financial statement, that there is news on pay. There's a big injection of cash for the public sector. We know that much in this first round. But do you say that right now, given what they've all been through, it needs to be announced right now and done right now?
I think it would help. I think we're sitting there, aren't we, on some Thursdays as a nation, sometimes periodically going out and clapping our hands in the air and going, yeah, great, thank you, NHS workers. But that's got to be backed up with something more positive. And I think a helpful sort of policy change now would be to say, yes, let's give these care workers a little bit of money now. I mean, look at the amount of money that this government is borrowing. It's incredible how we're going to pay that back. Yet some people will look at some other sort of funding issues, for example, HS2, which I think is around 100 billion. And people will say, well, hang on, if you're going to continue with that particular project, but you're still borrowing more, and yet you're saying to people who are sort of on the front end, no, we can't give you any more. I think people are going to turn away.
I had messages from Merck who said, we're here with a small crowd of people watching the Spitfire. It circled the main university hospital complex twice and is now on its way to Birmingham. Sadly, it didn't fly very low, but that distinctive roar could be heard over the noise of local traffic.
Now, if you start from Kenilworth, regular walkers will know that part of the walkway has got a lovely, firm, solid surface, but it stops sort of halfway. It's a shame that sort of firm surface wasn't continued all the way down to Berkswell. However, if you keep walking from Berkswell up towards Burton Green, you're confronted with this bridge, and mere mortals like myself are not allowed to walk near it, underneath it, or through it, because it might fall down, because it's seen as dangerous. Someone had a park bench put here many years ago, and there was a lovely metal label on it. It was there for a couple of years, and then someone came along and nicked the plaque. Diwali celebrations may mean something slightly different depending on who you are or what you believe. For some it may be a celebration of good over evil, purity over impurity, or perhaps a celebration of freedom from exile. Whatever you believe, do not be fearful. There is always hope. Happy Diwali. May this Christmas season bring you closer to all those that you treasure in your heart. Within COVID guidelines, of course. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.